Super Soul Sister, I'm very glad that you're here with us yet again for a beautiful evening of having conversations with amazing women. With me is Betty Tumwesije, and she's a leader in the cooperative Tide. We'll be getting into that conversation later. We always want to know our Super Soul Sisters before we get into the things they do, because it's important. Someone out there may say, oh, I cannot do it. But every time you hear a different story, we all have different books that we're still writing. And that is why it's important to us. You're very welcome, Betty.
Thank you, madam.
Yes. I'm glad you made time. You came all the way. You came all the way to come and share with these young women out there and men. I keep insisting on men.
Yeah.
So, who is Betty Tumwesije?
I am Chobtunji Betty Tumwesije from Mbarara, Abesigana Diary Cooperative Society. I was born at Nyakatontoma, Ryachitanga, Mutara, in 1958. By Mr. and Mrs. Mr. and Mrs. Bilimbasa. My mother was Mabel Bilimbasa, now the late.
Oh dear.
But Mzee is still living.
Oh wow.
I'm the second born of my parents. And they happened to produce 9 children.
Oh, nice.
And they managed to educate us.
Yes.
At least all of us have gone to school, and we are supporting ourselves.
That is nice. And when you say 9, I'm excited because it seems you had a very interesting childhood. The 9 of you, I hope the gap wasn't big between.
Yeah. They had a gap of at least 2 years.
Okay, that's a good
between
gap. Yes.
2 children. So I had my primary at Bukungu Primary School. From there, I went to Maryhill High School, where I studied O-level.
Okay.
Then I went to Shimoni TTC, where I trained as a teacher, grade 3. Then from there, I taught at Bukungu Primary School before you got married.
Okay. Now let's first go back, because you mentioned, and it caught my attention, you mentioned you were 9 of you. How was it being at home, the 9 of you? How was life between school and being at home with your siblings?
Wow. During my childhood, we used to do work at home. There was no joke. We had to dig with our parents.
Every morning?
We survived through agriculture. We had coffee.
Yes. Oh, that's nice.
And we had few cows. We had coffee and banana plantation.
Wow.
At that time, we didn't have porters to help us. We would do the work ourselves.
Yourselves, yes.
Yeah.
The 9 of you.
The 9 of us.
That is nice.
And the elder children would guide the younger ones.
Yes. Okay.
So we would dig in the coffee plantation, in the banana plantation, and we had money. We had money, enough money to educate us.
That is true.
On top of that, my father had a shop.
Oh, so sometimes you would go to the shop and help out.
Yeah.
How was that like, when in between school, when you went to boarding school now?
There was one bus, and that bus from Matara, Matara being the trading center.
Yeah.
You would board that bus from Matara up to Mbarara. When you reach town, you foot.
Oh, wow.
You foot to school.
How far was that from town to school?
From where the bus stopped, there was a short distance, about half a kilometer.
Okay.
Half a kilometer. You would get some people with the bicycles. They help you to put on the luggage.
Yes.
Your suitcase. And then you move to school. Smarter on foot.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is true. Did you have any leadership positions in school or anything you were interested in when you were at school?
At school, I was a class monitor.
That is
I
lovely.
was a young, sharp girl.
Yes.
And they would choose me as their class monitor.
How did that, in any case, shape you? Because being the second born, I would assume because now the rest of them, you would help as well to groom, to shape them, to help do, you know, certain things where your parents were not.
As I grew up, I used to work with my mom. So all the work that mom taught me,
yes,
I would also
teach,
encourage my young siblings to do the same.
So from Maryhill, where do you go?
I went to Shimon TTC.
Okay, to
train as
for
a teacher.
Okay.
At Shimon TTC, I enjoyed the studies because all along I had wanted to train as a teacher. We were being trained in all the subjects. I reached that school where I was supposed to teach. I chose my best, and that was English.
English, yes. That is good. So where did you go to teach?
I taught at Bukungu Primary School.
Bukungu Primary School. And that's for how long?
I taught there for 1 year.
Okay.
And got married.
Oh, that's when you said before I got married. So when you got your job for the first year, you worked, and then along the way you got married. Did you keep working at the school or?
No. When I got married, I transferred to Mbarara municipality. By then it was Mbarara municipality. So I had to work from there.
Oh, okay. Then you still went to another school?
I went to another school.
Which school is this?
When I went to Mbarara, I first taught at Rwakaterere Primary School. It's near my home.
Easy access, yes.
Yeah. Because during that time we were walking on foot.
Yes.
Yeah, so I had to teach in the nearby school. Then from there I decided to join the schools in town.
Okay.
Because my husband was working in town as a land surveyor.
Okay. So then you moved to schools in town, and for how long did you do that as well?
That was 1984, and then up to 2011.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You know, it's very rare to see and hear people say that they did something they liked for that long. Some people along the way, so many things come up, or that you're enticed by something different. You say, "Now I'm done with teaching. I want to do something else." What kept you going?
Just because I liked the job, I kept on moving.
Recently, we've been having a lot of us, if I'm being honest, complaining that when some of these professions, people put in work, they put in effort, we work so hard, but very little in return. We've had the nurses, we've had the journalists, we've had the teachers. What do you have to say on something like this for a person that was passionate about your job?
During that time, I was paid little money. The payment was little, around 560 shillings. but we managed to work. We managed to work, and life moved on.
That is true.
Yeah.
A quick reminder, we are here at Dotash Exclusive. They give us the amazing space for us to sit here and talk to amazing women, hear their stories and engage with them. And of course, we're going to keep having the conversation, so don't go away. And we're back with Betty. We're seated here at Dotash Exclusive. She's still telling us a story. Now, the women we're having, in particular, that we're having discussions with, women that are part of a project that has been, or rather is being sponsored or is being invested in by SNV, and of course that is the Tide project. These are women farmers in the western region, but we're looking at Kisoro, Mbarara, and many other places that stretch far. This project is something that has brought women on board and said, let us have the women on board and let us engage the women, let us give them responsibilities as well. And of course, Betty is also a leader within Tide. She's a Tide leader.
Having taught 1 year at Vikungu Primary School, which was my village,
yes,
I got married to a handsome man, Mr. Medi Tumwesje. He was a land surveyor.
Oh, nice.
So that was in 1983.
Wow.
But unfortunately, he passed on in 2015.
Oh dear, after you had retired in 2011.
In fact, I retired from teaching after his death.
Oh dear.
Because I could not manage the estates and
while
teaching at the same time. And then start farming.
Yes. That is how now you get into farming.
Yeah. To be serious in
yes.
farming.
Yes. How then do you find yourself a part of the SNV Tide project?
I would attend programs set by SNV.
Yes.
They would come to our organization, Abesigana Diary, Kashari, and they would train us.
Also in dairy now, that's what you were doing?
Yeah, I'm in Diary. I'm on the supervisory committee, and I have been on this committee since 2016.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are some of those things that you feel like being in dairy are things you need to share with us? Because quite often when you talk farming, people just think,
in farming, when you like farming, whatever challenges that you meet, you have to keep on going. For example, to organize a farm,
yes,
it is costly. You have to get workers and you must pay them.
That is true.
You have to do clearing of the farm so as to have good pasture. And on top of that, you have to grow. You have to grow other pastures,
yes,
to supplement on the grass you have, because it may not be enough.
So how then does your cooperative come in and play a role?
In our society, we have 140 members, of which we have 40 members who are women.
Okay.
And 30 who are youth.
What are some of the challenges, especially in dairy farming?
The challenges we have in our dairy, the price of milk. The price of milk is very low, and the farmers don't get enough money.
Yes, after putting in so much.
After putting in so much, like buying herbicides,
yes,
like growing pastures to supplement on what the animals feed on, all that is costly. For example, the price of a liter of milk at our dairy is 700 shillings. You can imagine.
Now, I know people have been hearing us talk about this, but please explain to everyone out there what SNV is and what Tide is.
SNV has been helping us. For example, they help us to have trainings, and they fund them.
Oh, okay.
This SNV is funded by Tide, and SNV has a branch which is Agritera.
Okay.
This Agritera has been training us in our society.
Okay.
They would even pay an extension worker to visit the farmers.
How do we encourage some of these women or the men, okay, that it's okay for the woman to go ahead and also participate and be a part of this?
When I talk of women joining the society, I also encourage men to let their wives join the societies like this, to let their children join the societies. Because today you are there as a man, tomorrow you will grow old, and these children have to take over.
Farmers involving women, and of course being a leader herself, that means they're saying let's also engage these women. Don't go away, we're going to have much more. I'm very excited. The amazing women we're talking to this time around, and they are farmers. And I did say farming is wide, and they are in dairy farming. And with me is Winnie Bavuga, and she is also a woman farmer. She's among the ladies that we have here, women farmers. And I must say, this for me is exciting. Let's first know who Winnie is.
Oh, this is great.
Yes.
I'm really so excited to be here, first and foremost.
Thank you.
I've been watching your
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
And I've been following you, and I was like, okay, she does it so well.
Thank you.
Little did I know that
you'll be here as
be
well.
here.
You'll be our super soul sister.
I'm just so excited.
Yes.
Thank you for hosting me.
Well, thank you for making time.
I'm Winnie Bavuga.
Yes.
I am a farmer.
Yeah.
And I'm a daughter to Mr. and Mrs. Bavuga, who actually were in education.
Oh.
But they retired to farming.
To farming, yes.
So whatever I took up is actually from their initiative.
You learned from...
I learned from them, and I inherited what they were doing. Though now I came to do it commercially.
Yes.
And to modernize it.
That is true.
Yes.
So, what was it growing up in a home where they were very active, you know, in agriculture, very active? Are you alone or you have siblings?
I have siblings. We are 11 of us. We are supposed to be 12. One passed on.
Oh dear.
And I happen to be the firstborn. I'm the eldest.
Oh, I love the firstborn stories.
Yes. So I'm the eldest of the 11 children of Mr. and Mrs. Bavuga.
Oh, that is amazing.
We are lucky we still have our mom, Mrs. Caroline Bavuga. She loves your program. Oh. I am sure she's watching.
I'm very honored. I'm very honored. And we love her too.
So unfortunately we lost our dad in 2020.
Oh dear.
And may his soul rest in peace. But both were the founders of what we are doing. So I retired a bit early. Okay, before I go to the retirement, I was married to someone from Rwanda.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I lost him during the genocide.
Oh dear.
But we have 2 children, and they are big girls now, Carol and Karin. Carol is married to Mr. Moses Matovu around, and they have 4 children. So I'm a grandmother of 4.
Wow.
Karin is soon getting married. And those are the 2 children I have.
That you have, yes.
And I'm so happy.
Yes, and I'm sure they've learned also a couple of things from you that you also learned.
You know,
from
as
your
a
parents.
single mother,
Yes.
they have learned from whatever I've been doing. Also.
Indeed. Indeed.
So they have taken up the businesses I was doing before I retired to farming. And I hope and I pray that they would also still join me in farming.
In farming, yes,
Yeah.
indeed. So what was it like growing up, being the firstborn? Whew.
You know, being the firstborn, actually, it's so challenging.
Yeah.
Because all responsibility is like on you.
Yeah.
But I embraced it. I was looking at what my mom was doing, and I was seeing them hustle all through.
Yes.
Though they were teachers, you know, educating all of us, but without them, they put us to the best schools.
Yes.
I went to Mutorere Primary School. From there, I went to Mary Hill High School,
Yes.
and that was S1 to S4. Then S5 to S6, I was in Immaculate Heart. And
Yes,
you know,
schools.
I've gone through
Yes.
the best schools. And I thank my dad was in education, and they would really, he would really give me the best of it.
Indeed.
Because I think he was this man, whenever I would look at something, he would say, oh, do you want it? Do you want it? Then I would have it. I got the best.
Yes.
I can't regret.
Indeed.
But on the other hand, he was this kind of person telling me, though you are a woman, you can do it as far as
You
men
can
are
do
doing
it.
it.
Yes.
As far as men are doing it. So, us growing up, and it's not unfortunate, we are 9 sisters and 2 brothers only.
Oh.
My siblings are here. I have 2 who are living in the US.
Oh, okay.
There's Joan and Juliet. Juliet has been so supportive to me.
That's lovely.
Wherever, whatever I do, she is always there. Though she's out, she's always on
You can feel her
ground.
presence. Yes.
Yeah, even now, I know she was like, tell me the program, I will
Yes.
have to watch that.
Indeed.
And our mom, though now approaching her 80s, is still this kind of lady who will always involve herself,
Yes.
at least in the supervising. And I really give thanks to her. She's made it easy for me.
Do you remember vividly the type of girl you were growing up?
I really loved my school time.
Yes.
And I was a minister of clubs.
Oh.
Yes, I
Nice.
loved entertainment.
Yes.
And I loved debating so much. And I'm still in touch with all the old girls of Mary Hill.
Really?
Yes, we have a group we always share.
Yes.
And, you know, I was from Kisoro, so I would always say, it is me, Winnie, all the way from Kisoro.
Yes.
So I was so proud that I was able to cross over
Yes.
from Kisoro to a very good school. It was a blessing to me.
Indeed.
And it also inspired me that even though I lost my husband, my intention was like, I have to put my children in the best
In good
schools.
schools, yes.
Like my parents did it for me. So my girls have all gone through Seta High School, and I put them to the level that they shouldn't feel there's no father figure.
Yes.
I'm happy my dad had taken them up, but you know, encouraging them
To
to
be
be
more than
independent,
just,
to be bold, to always go for what is right.
Indeed.
I can say now, my daughter, Carol, is the president of the Rotaract Club,
Oh,
Canos.
nice.
So you can see they have gone to,
Yes, you've pushed.
yes.
Yes,
When I
indeed.
was still here, I was also into Rotary, and I'm a Rotarian. Though when I went to the village,
Yes.
I haven't rejoined, but I'm still going back
Indeed.
to Rotary.
Indeed. So, when you go to Immaculate Heart, what were you leaned into? What were you looking at doing after A level?
Honestly, I think I wasn't so very sure, but my mind was always on like business.
Oh yes, I can.
No
imagine.
wonder I ended up taking business administration. I did business and financial management at UCC Cavalry. That's where I completed. And I somehow ended up into business.
Indeed.
So I did marketing as my
Core, yeah.
major. So after that, I was doing marketing.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked with the bank. Then I ended up in rail packaging. I ended up in steel and tube. This was my last. That's where I retired from. But
when was this? When did you retire?
2017.
Oh, yeah, that was early. Yeah.
Yeah, 2017 is when
you
I
decided.
Retired. Yeah. But in steel and tube, I was doing marketing and international marketing.
Oh, that's
so
lovely.
I would be in South Sudan, I would be in Bujumbura. I was marketing still. Yeah.
That's lovely. That's lovely.
So from there, my parents were getting weak. And I happened to go for some workshop. It was a workshop.
Yes.
Along the way, I did network marketing. So in network marketing, we had these programs, training programs.
Yes.
And one of the programs, there was this keynote speaker, Robert Kiyosaki, was telling us to discover ourselves. You know the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Yes.
Yes. So I developed that concept. I took it up. But they were asking, I happened to get an opportunity to attend a conference in Dubai where they asked, do you know what your parents are doing? It's really
Well, that's a
caught
good
me.
question.
I looked backwards, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But before that, I had been on my trip from Bujumbura. I passed home in Kisoro. I found my dad was weak, had gone to pick grass for cows, and he almost fainted there. So it really touched me so badly. So I looked at this, at the whole scenario. I was like, 11 of us, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know, there is a way the universe works. So
That's
somehow, when I attended this conference, it is the question that they were posing.
Asked, yes.
Then I was like, okay, what are they meaning? What do I know what my parents are doing? Then they were asking us, do you have land? I said, we have land. Then they said the best investment you can do is, you can start is when you have land.
That is
I
true.
said, okay, there's land at home. Then they were like, you know, telling us that why are we looking for white collar jobs when we can actually create our own jobs? And it also
Stuck in your mind.
Yes.
Yes.
I
It triggered
said,
something.
okay. I looked at myself and looked home. Then I looked at where I have been working, you know, Indian setup, whereby all the Indians bring their children into their
That
businesses.
is very true, by the way.
And I said,
They involve their children.
yes. I looked at the African setup.
Yeah.
You actually have your own job, and when you die, you just die with your qualifications. You die. Then
That is
one
true.
of the speakers also said that if you're doing something that your child cannot inherit, then you are in a wrong position. I said, okay, what is that? You know, things were adding up.
Yeah.
Then I said, okay, what do I do? But little did I know, maybe this is what God was
Yes.
picking out for
taking you to a direction.
Exactly.
Your turning point.
That was my turning point.
Yes.
So when I came back, I told myself, no, we have land.
Yes.
My parents are there, they are weakening, they are weak. My dad is trying to do ABCD. My mom, who had done all, she was even ranked at one time as the best farmer in Kisoro.
Oh.
I mean, I said, now what am I doing? But I was like, I didn't know exactly what I wanted.
Yes.
But something was pushing me, go home.
Go home, yes.
And now when I looked at how I had even lost my husband, I looked at my siblings, I saw I was the only free person to go home. I didn't go home just because
Yeah.
it had to be me, but all my sisters and brothers were all engaged, and my children had already gone through school. So I was the only one who was like free. My dad died a very happy man. Because when I reached home, he was like, okay, I technically hand over everything to you. So he would just sit,
And
have
you'd
his tea,
push and do
and
things. And
whoever would come home, he would say, no, I handed over to Winnie. So there also, something triggered. I was like, okay, now
I
this
need to
is
work twice
the
as
time
hard now.
to take up my mantle. So I was not from an agricultural background, but what I did, I tried to go for trainings. Each workshop I would hear of about farming,
You're
I
part
would
of
be there.
So this is how you end up.
That is how
Yes.
I ended up with SNV.
Okay.
I remember I had gone to RDI. It's a training center, and
Yes.
it is funded by. It was actually under Tide program in Barara. I found myself there. I had just gone to look for knowledge about dairy farming.
Yeah.
So I met SNV there. So I was like, why don't you come and work in Kisoro also?
Yeah.
They said they didn't have that program for Kisoro, but a few months later,
They
I
came.
was just so honored to see that SNV had come to work in Kisoro region
Nice.
and Kabari. And so this was Isdap. Now this is the Isdap project. Isdap is a integrated smallholder dairy program. So it is contrary to the Tide. Tide was looking at the big farmers,
Yes.
and now I think when they sat, they said now there is the other small farmer who has only 2 cows, 1 cow. How can we help them out? So that's how Isdap was born. So I was so honored to be even part of Isdap, because when they came, we did an interview. They wanted some people to work directly with them, and I was happy. I was chosen to be a village facilitator for our sub-county,
In your
Nyakabandi.
Yes.
So under the Isdap project, I am a village facilitator and a beneficiary
That's lovely.
as a farmer, but I am now minding as taking care of Nyakabandi sub-county. In Kisoro, we are 5 of us who are village facilitators. There is one of the municipality, there is one of Busanza, there is one of Nyabishenyi, and then Chirondo, and then
And you-
Nyakabandi.
Oh, okay.
So I'm for Nyakabandi
How do you feel that this has impacted
now.
the women, especially within, and yourself, of course?
And myself.
Yes, within your community and society.
You know, then we have a challenge in Kisoro of land. Thus, so many farmers didn't have even pasture. So Isdap started on a pasture program. So we have 16 demo host farmers in
your
Nyakabandi,
area, yes.
where I am the village facilitator. We are 12 farmers who have
lovely.
taken up the pastures. So we have planted pasture. That was the first thing SNV embarked on, because they cannot help you without pasture.
Exactly.
Pasture plays a major role in dairy farming. And as we are doing zero grazing, so we have to fairly pasture. Yes, we had other pastures, but these pastures they gave us, like there is Morato, there is Cayman, there is Mombasa, there is we have majorly 4 species, and all these species are highly in value to the cow. The protein value is high,
Yes.
so they really increase the production of milk. So how Isdap came in and why I really like it.
Yes.
It came in to support us, the smallholder farmers. But amidst our small enterprises we are doing, a smallholder farmer will be having maybe the crops, maybe they have other animals. So they didn't say you are now going to do only dairy, but they are supporting us to use our dairy farming to supplement even other enterprises we have. You find Isdap has touched on the livelihood of our communities and majorly of women. For example, I have a women group which I have involved on this program.
And encourage them to be a part of it.
I have Umugore W'Umutima women group.
Nice.
So it is big. I will talk about it another time, but the Umugore W'Umutima, every woman, we have encouraged every woman to have at least a cow. So the cow is helping us have the manure, then we can look at our other crops.
Yes.
We do beans, we do Irish, we do matoke, and we have also embarked on coffee. So now their next project is we are going to do rainwater harvest.
Oh, okay.
And it's entirely coming through Isdap.
Okay.
So we are organizing the farmers into groups so that they can benefit from all this.
We shall keep bringing back these amazing women at some point for us to talk more and engage more and, you know, broaden the conversation and discussion. But I must say, us here at Super Soul Sisters, we're very proud to have women farmers like yourselves come on here and take us through your journeys and take us through your stories. We have empowered homes, we have empowered fathers, empowered husbands, partners. Let us go back and think about the good that comes with this. Super Soul Sisters, we still have another lovely Super Soul sister who's going to come on here. They're all women farmers, and of course they're covering the areas of, I think you talked about Kisoro, Kabale, Barara, and so many other, most Bushenyi, most the bigger part of Southwest and West, you know, so this is good initiative, and I like that women are taking it on without hesitation. Let's support them. We'll be right back. And we're still here, Super Soul Sisters. I'm telling you, the Soul Sisters are many, and they come to tell us our stories. And we're still talking about the success stories of our women farmers. Now we're looking at the Southwest and West region because, and I must say thanks to SNV for bringing us these amazing women to tell their story. Now with me is Theo Tuonjirwe. Yes. I've said it correctly.
Perfectly
correctly.
I'm
so
so
proud of myself.
Yes.
So, and she's also among the ladies are women farmers, and she is here to tell us her own story. We need to know who Theo is, first of all.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Rowena.
Yes.
Happy to be on this platform
to have you. Yes.
to discuss my journey,
Yes.
especially in the dairy sector. Yes, Theodora. I am a mother of two beautiful girls. One is 15 and now is 14. I am a wife.
Teenagers.
Yes.
Nice.
I am a wife. I am a daughter to two loving and daunting parents. And yes, as you will hear, my journey is closely hinged on who they actually are. And yes.
So who are these lovely people, your parents?
Yes, I was born in a village called Katukuru, Wampara, and raised and born on a farm. My father is called Francis Mwebesa, and my mother is called Elizabeth Birunji. And yes, those are my parents. I did my primary school. I've had two phases of them. But first I started in Kabale, St. Marguerite.
Is this where your parents were at the time?
No, my parents have been in Bara all through.
So how did you end up in Kabale?
I think it was the early, that's why I always ask my parents, but yes, it was the early times of the war. And I think at that point in time, my parents were probably struggling to find a stable school for their child. So yes, I went off to a boarding primary school in Cavalli when I was 4.5.
Which school is this?
St. Maria Goretti Primary School. Then I think when they had reached my P6, they kind of felt that I should come back closer home.
Yes.
So I joined St. Aloysius Primary School, where I completed my P7. From there, I joined Mount St. Mary's Namagunga for 4 years. Then I joined Trinity College Nabingo for 2 years. And I went off to do my engineering degree.
Engineering?
Yes.
Now this is interesting. But let's first go back real quick. What was this move like for you, being a little girl, being in boarding school away from your parents, and then eventually coming back? Do you have any vivid memories on how that made you, or how you felt at the time?
To be honest, the school was being run by nuns called Daughters of Mary and Joseph, and it was very church founded.
Yeah.
And I think they were just trying to start out a small private primary school.
Okay.
So it kind of felt like home.
That's lovely.
And I think the fact that I was also grown up in a big family, we were 9. So
wow.
the 5th of 9 children.
Nice.
So kind of settling into boarding school probably wasn't an issue.
Because you found your way being a middle child there.
Yes, yes.
Finding your way.
And I think all parenting doesn't give someone a lot of choice to
That is
say.
true.
It's just a conversation. Your parents wake up and say you're going to Kabale for boarding primary school.
Yeah, you can't, yeah.
Yes. My siblings did join me a bit, but they didn't seem to be very comfortable in the same place. So yes, my parents moved them back to Mbara, but I seemed comfortable.
Yeah.
I didn't think...
You found your way.
I found my way. I was well settled, so
That's
I don't
nice.
think they found it as a point to say take her out or bring her out. Yes.
So basically, what was that like, being in the middle there of 9?
I'll tell you something. My mother, I have 2 different parents. My mother was a soldier in the home. You know, she was totally in charge.
Yeah, she was like, yeah.
Her rules were clear. There was no time for bending them. And if there was if you ever even attempted to bend them in any way, clearly you got the wrath of it.
Yeah.
My father on the other side was a daunting dad. You know, everything was on the table for you, all the options you had on the table. So it was a kind of a balance between the two.
That's
but
something.
yes, you managed along the way. It was very difficult actually to understand at what position were you, because you all minded your business. And
Exactly, you had to.
you just had to leave.
I love that. After Namagunga, you went to
Nabingo.
Nabingo.
Same environment.
Yes.
Indeed.
And at this point, you knew what you wanted to do.
Yes, I am a heavily science-based person. Math, physics, chemistry is my territory. History is such.
I know.
Theory as well. Oh goodness me, theory,
You're like, oh, too
literature.
much, too much.
I just can't stand those Okay, well, I can't even remember what I studied. That's how bad it is.
Oh my goodness.
As
that
much as I
bad?
did pass history and economics, but I can't.
Well, you
even
had
tell-
to, you know. It wasn't your thing.
It wasn't my thing, but math, physics, chemistry.
Lovely.
Yeah, that's my area.
That's good. And you knew at this point, I want to do engineering, or I want to be an engineer, or you had other options at this
Yes,
point that you were looking
I'll
into?
tell you this. My father was heavily involved in my career along the way, and he's the kind of person who always brought prospectuses to you and said, you know, you can do this, you know, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And so, you know, along the way, you're able to shape what kind of careers, options that you have along with you. And yes, the fact that he was also an industrialist, he said, no, you need to be a mechanical. He wasn't a mechanical engineer himself, but he would tell you, you need to be a mechanical engineer. You can do this in the business. You can transform the sector or this and that. So yeah, it kind of
lovely.
The environment around you kind of shapes the discussion, what you're looking at, the options that are available. So that's how I ended up doing engineering.
Interesting.
Yes.
And you did engineering?
Yes.
At where?
University of Leeds in the UK.
That's lovely.
Yes.
And this is also moving. Oh my goodness, you've moved. So you go away for a while.
Yes, 3 years.
3 years. What were you thinking about at this point? How did we even get to you going to University of Leeds?
My parents, I must say, I was pretty lucky and privileged that They made up their minds on that.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I was kind of disappointed because when you finish in senior 6,
You feel
the
like
hype is campus.
Yes.
You actually have to go to campus. If you've not been to campus,
Then,
what are you talking about?
Exactly.
So my parents kind of earlier prepared me and said, look, whatever you're doing, you're going to the UK. So
Yes.
whatever options you have, close that. So it was easier to think through.
Yeah, and prepare yourself mentally
And my
before.
older siblings had been to the UK before.
Okay.
The ones older than me. So it kind of wasn't...
A
we're
shock.
different. It wasn't a shock,
It wasn't a
but
shock, yeah.
he was absolutely resolute about
Yeah,
it. So
yeah.
it didn't give me a lot of thinking options. I knew I was going to miss out
You
on.
just had to-
I knew I was going to miss out on the hype on
Yes,
campus, but
that's
yes,
true.
there
Yeah.
you go.
So you were there 3 years and then you
Yes,
came back home.
I came back home.
So what happens after that?
I started working with family business. I did work with companies, 2 South African companies, one called Cargill. They were doing processing because I'm a mechanical engineer by profession.
Yeah.
I specialized more into manufacturing engineering.
Nice.
And then eventually my father said, look, come and we sit down and we work together. So it was easier. And his family business is based in Mbarara as well.
Yeah. So you moved to
To
Mbarara.
Mbarara. I knew I'd work elsewhere. Only for a bit, but I would still go back to run family business.
Oh, okay.
That was in my mind. I had no doubt. So even if I did 2 or 3, 4 years,
You knew you'd go
I
back
still
home.
had to go back home to
Yes,
do whatever. So whatever information I had. So it was very, very convenient for me to work with my parents. And since, yes, I've been with them since. So there you go.
Lovely.
Yes.
So this is how you get into the agriculture.
Now, the agriculture business, this is how I get into it. Strange enough, I told you I grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
And I think in this case I would probably be 3rd generation. My grandfather was a big dairy farmer in the early 60s and 70s.
Nice.
Then my dad, of course, when his dad died, he took over the family business.
Yeah.
But I have to be absolutely clear on this, that I don't think my father was into it for the money and the farming. He knew he had to maintain a family legacy that was there.
And to grow
yes,
it
because
and-
now he'd already concentrated a lot on industry, on his steel sector and etc. So it was always an option for him. On a Saturday you're sitting there, on a Saturday you go ranching, or you go to a farm. I don't think he was in it for the money.
Yeah, it
or
was like you
whatever.
said. It was more about the legacy.
The family heritage and
Yes, it was-
legacy at that
he
point.
knew he had to.
Yes, indeed. So I relate very easily
Yeah.
to the farm. On Saturday, it's a day of drenching. You go with him in the morning, you drench the cows. He sits down with his managers, you sit down with him, walk through the books. You listen in as a child, and so
Yeah.
you're able to
know
pick up-
things. By the
yes.
time you get into it, you know what you're
And
doing.
he's hands-on when it
Yeah.
comes to stories like that. So he was very, very involving.
And I love that.
Right from P7, I had to work.
Yeah.
He would
You
sit
had
down
to-
with you and say, I'm paying you 10,000 shillings a month.
Wow.
What's your pocket money? 30,000. I've paid you 10,000. He'll give you 20,000. Says, okay, this is your pocket money.
Yeah.
And
You're like,
he
I've
always
earned
told
my
me
money.
one thing: you must work. You don't want to work with him.
Like-
So it was it was easy. You
Yeah.
understand? So
Yeah.
you either
How
you were the
it
tea
works.
girl, or you were filing, or you were in the accounts department.
Yeah.
And that also gave you a lot of options.
Options
to-
and experience and different
yes,
things. That
to
is
do.
lovely. So then, how do you get involved with Tide?
So Tide, long story comes in. In 2016, I did some work for Dairy Development Authority. At that point in time, I was doing my PhD, and I was investigating how small-scale industries can improve their operational efficiency, really from an industrial conversation. And I needed data. So there was a regional manager who I got in touch with and said, look, Theodore, if you're an industry engineer, we're doing dairy quality awards.
Yeah.
And I would like you to come in for an industrial perspective to focus on issues like quality in the dairy sector, systems and processes.
Yeah.
And we're visiting, by the time the exercise ended, we had to choose the best dairy farmer, the best processor, and the best cooperative society.
Lovely.
So I got exposed to 104 farmers. I went from farm to farm in the entire southwestern region. And it gave me a solid understanding of what the dairy sector is going to be. So I went back very fired up. I told my parents, I said, you don't know what people are talking about. You think you're the best
Exactly.
dairy farmers, eh? I've seen the
seen,
story.
yes.
So you can imagine 100 farmers, 104 farmers, and you can tell the small scale farmers, you can tell the medium ones, you can tell the
Tell the
large
large,
ones who are,
yeah.
you know, whose game is up there. Then I visited 6 dairy processing plants.
Oh, wow.
So I could be able to have a good grasp on value
On what-
addition,
yeah.
processing, what it means. I could be able to, I visited the cooperatives to understand their processes, how the entire value chain asks in. I met with the big vendors
Yes,
that are in
that
between.
are in, yeah.
We'd interview them, and it gave me a lot of in-depth. I was working with 2 professionals, one called Dr. Lagu, and they were both vets, and another one called Dr. Varije. So they would tell you about dairy cows, because they were leading the conversations in the farming sector.
Yeah.
They would tell you about a dairy cow, its productivity, how much money you can get, what are the genetics.
The
So
details.
the detail. And I
Yeah.
was a good listener. So imagine you're asking those questions on 104 farms. That's extensive research.
Yeah, that is
So I
true.
went back to the drawing board. I said to my parents, I said, look, you need to energize your farm. It cannot be like this. But of course, my parents' mind was elsewhere. So that's 2016. But this was the opportunity, because I'd visited these farms.
Yeah.
What is very critical in the farming sector is farm infrastructure.
Yes.
How have you paddocked? What kind of water systems do you have in place? What type of pastures do you have in place? And all that. So I used the same opportunity to
Yes.
say, how do I sell? Because our family business, we sell barbed wire to farmers, and we sell treated electrical poles for fencing.
Yes.
And ordinarily, that was what my father was selling to farmers. So I said, this is a business opportunity. I can work with farmers,
Yes.
improve their farms,
Yeah.
sell them my barbed wire, sell them my pumps. So SNV Tide One came in and was saying they try to get in private sector to support farmers.
Oh, yes.
Now I use the same opportunity to say, how do I
Say,
develop my
how do
own
I come
farm,
in and yes,
work with them, and they support
and
me,
still give service. Yes.
give services and make money from that story. So that is how I started getting involved with SNV Tide.
Nice.
So the first thing I did, I said, look, can we develop a service called farm planning for farmers?
Yeah.
And immediately we picked it up to be able to understand how should a farmer effectively utilize their land.
I
You've
see
been
that,
hearing how the
yeah.
president says
Yeah.
the 1 acre model. But how do you make sure that with 1 acre, what do you put? Coffee, you know, the
yeah, that
entire
it's
thing.
productive at the end of the
Exactly.
day,
How
yes.
do you structure it? How do you make sure that? So I needed to bring the science to the story and understand it from a table. So I was able to reach out to about 625 farmers, actually 1,325 farmers. I worked on a database of 625.
Wow.
That was not all. So for me, I was able to understand that story. Two,
And
I
use it,
visited.
yeah.
I visited. They had what they supported, what they call PDTF. These are training, practical dairy training organizations. So when they used to hold their trainings for the farmers, I would go there for 2 reasons: to do the business, but also to learn.
To learn. I love that.
So I was able to visit the 3 of them.
Yeah.
So in the process,
To learn more things,
the
you
owners
see
of the
more
practical dairy
opportunities. Yeah.
farmers. Yes, I want to say thank you to Mrs. Nshanga. I know there's also someone called, I think, Taiwa. It was Emmanuel Taiwa. And then another one called Captain Dinku Bujingo. They were amazing. They give me access to their farmers and a lot of teaching. So they're all based on different concepts. Either it's feeding, either it's breeding, and which are core in the dairy industry. Yes.
So what would you want to say out there to the people?
The first thing I would tell a young lady, if you walk up to her and say you want to join dairy farming, I would say visit at least a minimum of 10 farms.
It's not something you just wake up and
No.
say, oh, I'm going to be a part of this, and then
No, it's not a fad.
and then you lose the interest
It
along
is
the way.
not a fad. It is not UAP. It's not that. No.
Yeah.
One, do your research.
Yeah.
Do your research. Do research. Sit down with the farmer,
Yeah.
and not on phone. You know, there's so many telephone farmers.
Yeah,
I call
that's
them
true.
telephone farmers. Sit down with the farmer. Ask them.
Be there.
Visit their farm. Understand, and meet 10 of them. The next thing I want you to do, go for training.
Oh yes, that's important.
Very important, because the trainings explore you to different kind of options that you have available out there. The third thing that I would invite you, because after you've done all that, then you're able to sit down and say, what do I need? What do you want to do? What define your strategy? Because even in dairy, even in farming, you need to choose and say, are you going to be a breeder? And focus on breeding.
You can't do everything,
No.
really.
Focus and say, I'm going to do a breeder. I'm going to produce milk. You can imagine milk, sometimes the price fluctuations.
Yes.
You know, comes from 1,200, drops to 300.
Yeah.
What do? What are you cushioning yourself against? And it's a seasonal thing. It comes in all the time. What kind of infrastructure do you need? Where are you going to buy your agro inputs and reliable ones? Who's going to be your vets? And a professional vet. Key. Okay, who will come and do your farm visits, and then you're able to make certain, because they clearly understand the business, they understand the science, and you need to have them on your farm at least a month to visit you and say you're doing right, you're doing wrong, and etc. And be present. I want to say
the presence is important. Yeah,
I want to say that on a minimum, I'm available on my farm on a Friday, on a Saturday, on a Sunday. But if you're saying you're going to have a farm in Mbarara and you're in Kampala and you want to visit once a month, forget it.
Because you need to know.
The farm manager will be the owner of the farm.
That is very true. That is
so yes, but so I've been blessed. My mother is available. I also have an uncle who's amazing, who has been on the farm. At least he goes there. So I do Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, but
or I do Saturday
the other days,
but the other day they are there to shoulder the expense, to understand the game on the table.
That is lovely. Thank you so much, Theo. And of course, I must say, I've personally learned a lot from all of you. Theo Tonjirwe has been here to talk to us, and of course she said like everything she's learned she has put into where she is at current. Now sometimes I hear people say, why am I doing this? Is it going to contribute anything to every life skill? So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Theo.
Thank you.
I'm learning, we are learning alongside everyone there who's watching. I hope someone picks something. And of course, SNV for bringing to our attention these lovely ladies and saying, yeah, we are working with these ladies, but here's the people who are doing the work. Thank you so much for watching us, and thank you for giving us your time. My name is Rona Kajumba, from me and the entire team that has been here to make sure that we bring you this amazing information. We wish you a good night.